I'm a research theme leader with the Climate Change, Agriculture, and Food Security Program of the CGIAR, which we call CCAFS for short. I'd like to welcome you all to ICRAF. I see we've got some numerous partners from outside of the CG, some people from Ministry of Agriculture, Environment, Rockefeller, programs like ACTS, Allen, AIRC, CABI, PANOS, IFDC. I really would like to welcome you and thank you for coming out. And I also want to thank the African Enterprise Challenge Fund, who sent their regrets. The director, Hugh Scott, couldn't come, but I really wanted to say that they're supporting this effort, and I want to thank them. I want to thank the researchers from the various centers here. There's quite a few. But if you're new to this campus, hosts a whole bunch of different organizations, and so we've got researchers from various organizations here, so you're very welcome. I'd also just like that CCAFS is a global program that involves all 15 of the agricultural research centers and many other partners from outside the CG. And our director, Bruce Campbell, is here from Copenhagen. We're lucky to have him here today. And some of the other team members are here too. And I've asked everyone to do the name tag thing, partly because I'm getting old and senile and I don't remember names. But also, I'd encourage you to stay with us after the event and mingle a bit and get to know each other, because that's always a real side benefit of these kinds of things, is some of us have heard of each other but maybe not actually met yet. So please stick around if you can. So the theme that I lead for the CCAFS program is called Linking Knowledge with Action. And it's a real passion, and has been for several years, is to figure out ways, innovative new ways, of making sure that the research and the science that's getting done in partnerships is more effectively being used and is found to be more useful by more people. And so CCAFS, our program, has been a really nice opportunity to really put this into action and think about it and invest in it. And I want to thank ICRAF for its sponsoring of me here on the campus with CCAFS. And I'd like to thank our director, Bruce Campbell, for his flexibility in giving us leeway to experiment and try some new things with a lot of you in this room. You guys are all a part of this. And this event, he's been working with us, and I think David has a very close passion, like I do, for research into use. I believe you were involved in DFID's program, Research into Use, for many years. David's got, so we're thrilled to have him here. He grew up in Africa, in various places in Africa, with a real cultural background, so he's probably more of a farmer than some of us are, like me. And media specialist with a firm called MEDIAE, and I'm thrilled to have him here to share some of the things that are going on, particularly with Shamba Shape-Up, but I'm not going to talk about it at all. I'm going to let him introduce it. So he's going to give a presentation and then show a film clip, and I'm going to ask, we want to keep this informal and have discussion afterwards, but I'm going to ask if we could hold our questions, so note them down, and we'll get through the presentation clip, and then some of your questions might be answered during that time, but if they're not, please note them down and we'll have a discussion afterwards, okay? So with no more further ado, David, I'll turn it over to you.
Much.
Okay.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So here, MEDIAE is the name of the company, and when I first thought of it, I thought of media for education and development in agriculture and the environment. And the first time I said it at a meeting, I thought, no way am I going to say that again as the acronym. But that's what it originally stood for. And basically to look at the way media can be used to support education and development. I think I'll get straight into it. We'll talk a little bit about why that we use the media we are using to reach audiences, and then we'll actually show you what we've done with Shamba Shape-Up and some of the exciting things that, the sort of services that have been added on, our phone, internet and so on, to it as we've been going along. We produced 3 big shows in Kenya. Makutano Junction. Does anyone here from Kenya heard of that? Could you put your hand up? Yes, everybody. It's a big show. It's got the biggest audience in Kenya. It's an educational and it's a soap. So the characters carry the storylines. And we've covered agriculture. We've actually managed to put biological control of maize stalk borer into a soap. That's a record, I think. We've got clean milk production. We've put that into a soap. And how to keep your farm fertile. So that, I think we must have a record there. But we've also done a range of other issues. We've done health, especially governance up to the elections, this last election, how to negotiate as a community, perform so that there would be ways of maintaining peace, the signs of ethnic violence developing, the kinds of things that the unpleasant, corrupt politician would be doing to begin to get that kind of thing going. These things are really good for drama, but they're really good for education as well, and increasing people's knowledge and their attitudes and their practices. And that's what we're really interested in. No Zone, down here, is a children's series. It runs parallel to the syllabus for 10-year-olds in Standard 4 and for 12-year-olds in Standard 6. And we're now doing Standard 2, so going back to the early 8-year-olds where they begin to read and write. Each one, so let's take Standard 4, it looks parallel to the syllabus and in the holidays revises maths, English, the environment, and science. So those are the key things on that. It's a revision for children who haven't got access to good schooling. It really children in rural areas. It's funded by DFID. And then Shamba Shape-Up, which is what I'm going to talk about now. And that's for farmers. It's a reality show. It's a makeover program. So you've seen those programs where you make over your garden or your house. I think you can even look beautiful nude now. And there's a makeover show that helps you look very good. Whatever your condition, you can look good. I need to watch more of the program. Entertainment model, entertain, meet information needs. If we can do those 2 things together, we build big audiences. Campbell and Majira, the radio soap that ran from 92 to 2004, had an 8 million audience Sunday evening, 8 o'clock. It was the top show. It was a soap, like the Oscars in England, if anyone who comes from England. Makutano Junction on our 14th and 15th series of programs, and each series is 13 episodes. And we've got a 6 to 7 million audience for that on TV now. And Campbell and Majira migrated into Makutano Junction. Shamba Shape-Up in Kenya, we're somewhere between 3 and 4 million. In Tanzania, we're similar numbers because we do it in English and Swahili. And that's following the same model. Entertain, meet information needs, and then we can serve the development world and the commercial world. We don't pay airtime. Advertising is paid for by the advertisers. They're clamoring to be either side of us. And the development sector, we're basically offering you guys a pipeline to very large numbers of people on a regular basis. Not just a one-off documentary, no. We've got 26 episodes running now at the moment. Before planting is seasonally right through the season. 6 months of once a week TV. Building audiences, people know where it is, they're coming to it, they're listening to it, the numbers are building. So that's what we're at. So we get sustainability. I think I jumped something there. Did I? Yeah, okay. how are people consuming media now? This is approximately what it looks like. Last 7 days, everyone's got a radio. Everybody's listening to radio. We'll talk about that in a minute. TV, 60% of households are watching TV. People were not aware of how high this figure is. And it's a really important figure. The newspaper is fairly high there. I think higher than probably it usually is. The other interesting thing about TV in the last 7 days, what are the socioeconomic classes? This bottom thing here. Does anybody know these A, B, C, D, E's? If you're in the communications or the media business in the private sector, you would know them. The A, B is someone with 2 cars and a washing machine. The C1, this is very basic, C1 is in the cash economy, may not have a car, but he's pretty solid. He's got a regular salary, he's doing well. C2 is he's just got in there. He's kind of hanging in there. He's okay. So far the salary's been fairly consistent. The D's are the in and out of the cash economy. So they're getting money sometimes. They're getting it when they harvest. They're getting it when they sell their crop. They're getting it from the diaspora. So they're in and out of the cash economy. And the E's are that sort of segment of society all around the world where people may be ill or they may, there may be other problems or issues. They are extremely poor. And so what is interesting here, these are TV viewers. The C2s and the Ds are the biggest audience. They're not the rich and the wealthy, like we were thinking, like the advertising world in Nairobi was thinking. It's the TVs for the rich. We're selling them banking, we're selling them cars, we're selling them, the high-end products. Radio is for the poorest people. It's not true. The rural audience has really grown dramatically. If you look total urban and rural for TV, 98, 2002, you can see that on radio little change. It's not surprising. 95, it's saturated. On print it's dropped. On the real growth in media use in Kenya is here. It's on TV. This was in 2005, 70%. And this is the same here. It's rural. And all of the growth comes from the rural area. Do you see that? Here. Growth. That whole growth that you see for the whole country, it's all growth in the rural area. And that's and this is what's been happening. And it continues to happen. Same sort of growth. Okay. When we had Campbell and Majira with our 8 million in 1998, it was really, we started to lose audiences. In 2000, we'd come down to about 6 million. 2002, by 2000, we were 2.5 million people listening to the radio show. We got funding from DFID to find out why on earth was this. And there were 2 very distinct reasons, and some of them are obvious, and you've probably thought of them. But one of them was that up till 98, the government kept complete control on radio. The Voice of Kenya, KBC, you only read Swahili. You had an English program, yes, and you had vernacular broadcast times. There were very limited FM stations. In fact, there were none for some time. And that was a way of controlling the rural populations in terms of political power. So, but gradually people were getting tired of President Daniel Arap Moi today said, and they were beginning to think maybe there was more to life, and there was a lot of pressure came on, and so we got capital, we got other, and of course the politicians invested in all of them as well, and they grew quite quickly. And so we had what's called fragmentation. We now have 138 FM radio stations in Kenya. So there's a massive fluctuation. I haven't got the chart that shows Nairobi during the day. It's every single radio station, doesn't go above 4% of the audience, and it's every single one competing, because we've got swamp radio, ghetto radio, we've got the lot. We've got religious radio, and there's a bit of a breakdown here. Mainstream, community, vernacular, religious, and foreign is in there as well. So that was one thing. The other thing is, to try and get now onto peak time radio is almost impossible. One, there are FM stations competing commercially for advertising time. And so you get advertising at peak time, when we used to have the really big audiences. They won't let you in with a half-hour soap and a discussion program. It's advert, music, music, SMS, how to catch a handsome man, advert, music, music. And that's what you're going to get. So it's not very, it's in there. So that's the other one. It's very difficult. You have to go on to 9 or 10 radio stations now to get a big audience, and you've got to go off peak time where things really dull down. And there are ways to do that, and there are ways to target with radio, and we've used them, and it can be effective. So we swapped from our soap on radio to in 2006, we went on air for the first time with Makatanu, and we grew it like this. It's around about 7 million. It's very difficult to get tight figures on the audience. But that's what happened, and that was our plan. What we discovered later on was that 70% of these rural viewers, of our Makatanu viewers, were rural. So if we got 7 million, 4.9, nearly 5 million of them were rural because of the socioeconomic grouping I talked about earlier. But it just keeps humming on. The black and white Great Wall of China TV set, $50. That's the cost of a really good goat in Meru, I think. Can someone correct me on that? And it becomes very high on the list. In radio, not really getting a lot of information or education or help out of that. The newspaper is only 240,000 copies of the country of 40 million people. It doesn't get out of town. It really doesn't travel. So what sources have you got for outside information? Television is the one, and it is the most trusted of the sources of information. Unfortunately, a lot of television now is about Mexican love stories. And I switched on the telly the other night, and I saw two ladies, both of them with very breasts and sort of in bikinis, and one hit the other one with a fish on the cheek. And how educational is that? With the elections just about to come up and the time we're having. So we've got this big rural audience. What about Shamba Shape-Up, a reality show? Farmers, let's have a look at that. We've done series 1, 13 episodes, and we've done a lot of research pre and post, viewers and non-viewers, but with TVs compared, somewhere in the region of 900 selected, pre and post, looking at what do you know about the subject, what are you thinking about it, what are you doing about it, before the program's broadcast, and asking exactly the same questions afterwards, 3 months later, and getting pretty well consistently a good increase in knowledge, attitude, and practice, and claimed practice. We're about to do another piece of research with AECF funding, where we're going to visit 300 farmers, and I think it's 75 farmers with TVs but who've not watched Shamba Shape-Up. And questions about, did you adopt anything? What did you adopt? What did it cost you? What did you get out of it? What do you think your profit was? So we're going to try and monetize now the changes that we're seeing. Series 2 and 3 is on air now, March through to September. I'm now looking from you for Series 4, which is going to be 26 episodes. I'm not actually looking for it from you, but I'm looking for now into the next series, which we will start filming July right the way through until next March, and then go on air at the beginning of next March. This is where Shamba Shape-Up, Swahili on a Sunday. Here we are. It's at 1:30 p.m. Now you would think, ooh, why are we over here on 1:30 on a Sunday? Well, I'm afraid this is Mokotanu Junction up here, and we ain't going to be let in, because that's the big show. But this is a really interesting fact. Here's KTN, NTV, and KBC. Can you see that? We're getting double their audience at prime time. Can you see that? So you imagine that, do you see up here, KBC is red, KBC's really dropped down, KTN is there, Nation is there. That's their prime time. Prime time TV is in this gap here, from 7:30, this bit here. And what the TV station causes is tenting it. We're putting numbers, because on a Sunday, you've got granny, you've got auntie, you've got the kids, you've got dad, you've got uncle, and nobody can argue for the change of the TV program. Well, you can't do it. It's not, I mean, you know that. We have to be polite. It's Sunday as well. So guys, we get a drop down here at 5:30, not surprisingly. Someone's got to go out for some fresh air. So that's where we're building. That's building all the time. We hope that will go up to about 23, 24, possibly 25. Changing the way people get their agricultural information. We ask pre-broadcast, where do you get your agricultural information? One of our objectives is to establish an agricultural TV program for the region in this entertaining and educational way. We will make 6 months of programming, and that will probably be repeated through the next shorter growing season. So we will have the program running for the meantime until we can actually get new episodes coming in all the way through. And one of the questions we want to know, pre-broadcast, what was your source of agricultural information? And here it is, 26%. Radio, again, up here. Agro-dealer, newspaper, agricultural office. There's a whole lot of them all the way along here. We haven't put them in. So post-broadcast in orange, it shot from 27 up to 56, 57% of people now, because there was no agricultural program. There is no agricultural program. But now we've got one. Shamba Shape-Up, in English and in Swahili. And then source of agricultural information for Shamba Shape-Up viewers, amongst the audience we spoke to, of course it's them saying this is the information. 83 or 4% of those people said it's Shamba Shape-Up. So it's Shamba Shape-Up that's doing the program. And the non-viewers haven't seen it, don't know about it. There's an increase here in radio stuff. How am I doing for time? Bit slow? Changing attitudes towards TV as a source of agricultural information. So pre-broadcast, how useful is TV? Not useful at all, it's not even there. So they might get stuff from the news, they may pick up something on a documentary. Post-broadcast, we got up to here. It's useful. We found that information is useful. And of course, its usefulness, it's again, the Shamba Shape-Up viewer here is the one who's saying that it's useful. I've got a document here, which I'm happy, anyone who's more interested, to share, which is the Shamba Shape-Up and of individual issues that are looked at in here. So it is, if you're interested in getting involved, there's tomato planting, chickens, maize, all the different things that we tackled. This is the kind of result we're getting. With the Shamba Shape-Up, other than chemical fertilizers, what can you use to improve your soil? Soil fertility was our big story. Because it was our first one going out, we wanted to deal with soil. And there you see manure, break crop. You've got this consistent Shamba Shape-Up non-viewer preference. Type of fertilizer do you intend? Our big message was a mixture of chemical and natural fertilizer. So we've got nearly a 10% increase in understanding. These are non-viewers with TV, so they're just not watching Shamba Shape-Up. They're doing something else or whatever it might be. What do you feed your cows in the dry season? We did a big thing on silage. And they do feed maize stover, not very much silage. But what is needed to make silage? A polythene bag, water, molasses, chopped napier, whatever, that's quite obvious. Salt, you don't need salt. And so these aren't highly, what do you call it? Sort of technical research data. These are snapshots of what's going on that we need to know, are we making any effect? Are we getting anywhere with this? Now, we've got a 4 million audience, let's say, and clearly, we've got we've got a sort of 10% increase there, sometimes more, on knowing what you need to make silage. That's pretty good. 1,000 people. So this is significant, I'd say. What are the benefits of silage? The big message was increased milk production in the dry season, and that's what it was. That was the message. Milk prices are better. So that in itself, what's that, that's another 10% increase. What's TV information? TV information as a source of agriculture, post-broadcast. I'm not quite sure what that's about, actually. So where was your source? And it's Shamba Shape-Up. Now, on this one here, did you change any of your farming practices? Obviously, that's what we're interested in. 36% say yes. That's just reported. So this additional piece of research will come in with, and what did that actually mean, and how much. But what is interesting here, and this is really interesting to us, improving soil fertility, that was our big story. Chickens as cash for women was the second big story. Was the third. This is basically a chart of the investments in different stories, and that was really encouraging. This is just some of the data. Did you think it was good? 55%. So they really enjoyed the program, so that's good. Now, every episode that goes out, we say at the end of it, hey, do you want information? And if you do, SMS us, and we'll send you a leaflet. And we do. We don't believe in just printing stuff and distributing it out there for free. We just do not believe in that. And after years of working here, I know that's not a good idea. But we get money if someone's asked for something. And that's what you get. You get a leaflet. You can have a look at some of these at the back. And we were sending out about 9,000 of these after each episode in the first series. But the interesting thing is that what we've managed to do is, with these leaflets, is to get, to build a database. Because not only are and if you want to ask any questions, SMS us. So we now have a database of Shamba Shape-Up viewers, somewhere in the region of about 60,000 people. It's growing every time the program goes out. I think it may even be more than that now. And those we know where they come from because they asked for a leaflet, and we know what subject they're interested in, and we know their phone number and their address. So we can use it in all sorts of different ways. We can, for example, send a research document out of this size, mail it to them, and we've done this. And we can send it out to we can SMS them, would you like to be involved in a research project? Yes. If we were to send you a leaflet and you got it back by a certain date, we will M-Pesa you 50 bob. So let's say there are 3,000 people we're going to do research with. 50 bob to run a questionnaire this size with 3,000 people. 150,000 bob? I'd say. We can, and we've done that too. Select 500 people, call them and ask them and discuss it. So it's almost like a sort of mini discussion. So that works really well. And the other thing is that we've managed to we're now using that data to map audiences and to use them in a new way, which I'll explain in a moment. So this is what happens. The messages come in. They come in by the thousands. So there's some example up here. This is about chickens. Chicken, Elijah, and then I need information on keeping layers. So that message is put into a special part of the internet, of the database, and we then send a message to Kenchick and Kenchick comes and they get back in touch with the guy, and this is working. So any inquiries we get, we just say, so for CCAFS, as we start to get in, the stuff starts coming in, we will be able to send it to CCAFS, some of it, and they will be able to reply to it. And advise people, or put them in touch with other people who are doing specific things. Like, for example, with CCAFS, we've been working up in Western Kenya with CARE on planting trees. So we can connect them to CARE. And you can come in, answer the question down here in the message section, and send it out automatically. It goes automatically back down our SMS system on the mobile phone. That's a really, really useful thing to do. We can map where everyone's asking these questions from. So all these people are interested in chickens. So we know where the whole chicken area is. This is a map of the population of Kenya, the highest population area, and it's a map of the TV area of Kenya, the key broadcast area. But it does deciding where we're going to go next, because we go to different places tackling different issues. So Shamba Shape-Up, at the end, this is something we just started to do to form farmer groups. So presenter announces on the episode, if you want to join the potato farmer group, SMS potato with your name and address to 30606. Now, what we're trying to do is build 20,000 partners in potato growing. And the objective of that is to connect them with the new seed varieties that are available. And so that we know from the group how many people want seed potatoes and which variety they want. And we're now putting them in touch with, well, the organization we're working with is putting them in touch with the farmers at Kisima. So this is a new thing. We didn't know we could do this. We're starting to do it. It's really good. So we're beginning to find that database is actually really useful. I think totally we have about 170,000 because we've got Mokotano Junction and we've got No Zone, the children's series, where we were sending out 30,000 leaflets a week in 52 weeks, and we just couldn't keep up with it. We did 1 year, and we've had to re-plan that one. So the leaflet comes out. This is one of the farms. This is where I think I began to realize that climate change was such an important issue, and it wasn't about climate change, as we know it, sort of scientific, the world and all that. We went and looked at a farm in Machakos, and the traditional Victory plough is the one that's been used, but they were strongly recommending the ripper plough. It's a single channel it digs, and the water only goes in there, and you plant your seed in there. So that, it's really a much better way to plough. Terraces, why do you need terraces? Irrigation kit, how a family can grow their own veg and even stuff for the market. And on the back side of this, there's growing mango trees along the terraces and things like that. And that's all actually adapting to changing weather. Just the complete unpredictability of weather. And increasingly, everywhere we went, in these drier areas, that was the problem. They're saying, no, it's not that there's less rain, or there's more rain, it's just we don't know when it's coming, and when it comes, there's too much of it, and we can't, so the whole thing's a muddle. And every farmer we spoke to in those areas said the same thing. So I was a bit of a skeptic, I have to say, but I'm no longer. And so we began to look at, in the first series, all the things that had actually, like silage making, to extend the period of producing milk. It's because there's a drier period. You're not getting money. You're not getting the milk at that time. I mean, they're just endless things. Biological control of maize stalkborer. It's just that you're not stopping street and giving the grass and the napier and the desmodium for cow fodder. So all of these things, suddenly we began to realize this is all actually about adaptation. And this is all good farming practice and things that farmers really now need to think about and need to do. So that's why we were so excited when CCAFS came on and said that they were prepared to run the strand through these last 2 series and also help us use the other stories to get them out. So, it's actually critical, I think, for farmers. especially in marginal areas, but even in high potential areas, to start thinking about how to adapt to this, this incredible fact that the weather is unpredictable. As we all know in Nairobi now, with the rain. We got so many people phoning me up. On Sunday morning, I'd wake up, the phone would ring 7 o'clock. Hello? Is this Shamba Shape-Up? Yes. I have a problem. Oh, I'm sorry about that. How can I help? I've got 147 watermelons. What can I do? Well, I haven't got a clue. Or I pass them on to Anne-Marie. But it's true. That we suddenly found, and the reason I realized was that they'd gone onto the internet, gone to the MEDIAE, the producer, and found my telephone on the MEDIAE web. So we thought, my gosh, this is strange. This didn't happen on Mokotano, it didn't happen on the other things. And we realized just how many people out there are connecting on their fast phones onto the internet. It's quite remarkable. So we've got a website, it goes up, the program goes up, went on TV. You can watch the episode, you can watch clips or scenes, different issues. And we were looking today, we discovered we could find out where all the people who'd accessed this came from. And we've got fans in Malaysia, Brazil, America's our third biggest fan. Extraordinary, we didn't know this. Kenya, Uganda, and Congo. Congo's suddenly comes up and drops away again, and depending on the subject. So we're going to try and pull all that together and see what's happening with that. We really do. That was only today we discovered that. And then there's Facebook. We've got 6,489 likes. We've only had that up for about 2 months, and we're kind of growing it. Give me the procedure for constructing a modern GECO. You're doing an excellent job. I've SMS'd my request twice. And then, the company coming in here and saying, you should check out our videos on how to construct a GECO. And things like this Facebook thing, no doubt, is building. And then, finally, we're getting near the end now, what we decided to do, and we've been doing for some time, is we're building a thing called the Africa Knowledge Zone. And basically, it's a platform where we can store information. So primary school, we've got lots of our stuff from No Zone. We've got quite a bit from Mokotano Junction. A lot of health in Mokotano education, and here we are, agriculture. You click on agriculture, and you end up on Shamba Shape-Up. We've got all, so there's 20. By the time we get to September, 26 and 13 is 39. 39 episodes will be up on this platform. You can download them. They're on YouTube, but they're managed through this. And what we are looking for partners. You can become a partner of this. You can help. We can put your videos up onto the African Knowledge Zone, and we can refer to you and have your, if you're Cabby, for example, and you've done a very good video, we could have Cabby, and this is the next step. This is the next 3 or 4 months. We're starting to look for partners, but we're other partners. iKalimo. Have you heard of iKalimo? It's a new thing just starting, where you can SMS a request and you get an SMS-sized response. So it's like having a sort of Google thing, but it's on your SMS phone. There's Isoko's coming in from Uganda. They're just good. We're meeting with the Airtel agricultural farm thing, M-Farmer, all of these people. So when someone goes on their mobile phone and gets the SMS message back from, I don't know where my mobile phone is. So when you've got your mobile phone and you SMS a message and you get back a size message about feeding, at the bottom is the link to the video. Yeah, and so on all where there's text information, there will be our link. And we've now got 4 of the big partners, and we're going for the other ones. So that, and when we run a program, at the bottom of the screen there, up comes wherever we've got it on other people's. You can also see this on all these other people. Because what we need to do is share. That's what we've got to do. You know, there's no point just having the one website, the one thing, you know, the one availability. We need to be able to, so if someone comes and searches up here for potato varieties, we've got our clips, and we've got your clips if you've done research on potato varieties or agroforestry or whatever it might be. So that's it. Am I getting... very briefly, so a whole lot of content providers up in the top corner there. We're going to stick them into this thing we just saw. We're going to run it onto a platform. We're going to then, users are going to get it. We've got something you haven't got. We've got 7 million people on Mokotano Junction, 3 million people on No Zone, and 8 million people on Shamba Shape-Up who will tell about this platform. We're going to drive those numbers of people to start using this platform. Do you understand? So actually on Shamba Shape-Up, every second or third episode, have you tried SMSing, CCAFS for the fertilizer requirement for your district? Yeah, you can do it. There's an SMS number to do it. And then at the end of every episode, and running as a strip along the bottom of all the programs, every now and then will be, if you want to see this program again, go to African Knowledge Zone. If you want to go to African Knowledge Zone. And we've even started that, and we've got 376,000 people who've hit the page. And we haven't told anyone yet. So we're hoping by the end of this year to be 1 million users. And when we're 1 million users, we get monetized by Google. We get support from Google, we get a whole lot of, we get additional research and so on. So that's our objective now on that. Okay, I think that's it. That's more or less it anyway, I think. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, David. So we'll show the little clips so you get a
Do you want to see a few clips? Yeah. Can we see some clips?
And then questions.
The lands of Kenya, far and wide, across the highlands and lowlands of this beautiful country, talking to farmers.
Trying to give them the help and knowledge they need to improve their farming methods,
increase their income, and turn around their farms into good business for the future.
Join us and our experts on this journey and share their families' experiences as they make the changes.
Karibu to Shamba Shape-Up Safari. In dryland areas, farmers need techniques for gathering water and improving the quality of their soil. Better soil means better crops. Planting the right kind of trees can help improve the soil, feed your animals, and stop floods from washing away your shamba. Martin, you explained to me that you're having a problem with your crops here, especially due to climate change. And I got for you an expert, Mr. Miner here, who is going to advise you and other farmers who are farming in such areas what they can do and how they can make profit from farming and how to adapt to climate change. Mr. Miner, this is our farmer. What can he do?
Climate change is here with us. It's a fact. And there are 2 things you can do about it. Is that you can help us stop further climate change by doing mitigation efforts like tree planting, or you can also do adaptation activities to find ways of living with the change. As far as adaptation processes are concerned, you can plant crops that are fast maturing so that they can grow within the short rainfall season, and that are high value so that they can get you even better money or better income from the market. But beyond that, you are also creating a natural pension scheme for yourself, because then the trees you plant today, you'll be able to harvest from in future.
Good climate change adaptation means finding farming methods that help you make it through the droughts and hard times caused by uncertain weather. One very good technique for maize production is the push-pull farming technique.
Push-pull technology is a technology which helps farmers control the problems and therefore help them to improve their maize production.
Oh, it's quite interesting. How does it work exactly?
How push-pull works is we plant maize in the normal spacing we used to plant the maize, and in between the line we plant desmodium. Desmodium is a legume, and desmodium will produce a smell which the stalk borers don't like, so they will be pushed out of the field. And when they are pushed out of the field, they are attracted to the napier grass which is planted around the maize field, and they lay the eggs there. When they try to feed on the napier grass produces a watery substance that traps the insects and kills them. So although they are pushed out of the field and attracted to the napier grass, they don't survive.
More maize is one benefit of push-pull technology. The other is the availability of desmodium and napier grass, which gives a high quality fodder for livestock. So, at least when the cows have their new troughs built, they can be fed well.
So, Mama Mary.
Yes.
How was your maize crop before push and pull?
I really cried because I could not get anything. I used to get 4 kilograms from the plot. It was terrible.
So the harvest was poor?
The harvest was poor. I had a lot of hunger and I had family to feed, but there was no way.
And how about now?
Hey, it's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
You're getting good harvest?
For the first time I started push-pull, okay, a sack came. That is 80 kilograms out of 4. Just imagine.
There is a great potential for amaranth in any area in Kenya. One, because it's a very drought resistant crop, very highly resilient, and two, it's highly maturing. So at the age of 3 months, most of the varieties are ready to harvest, and to check whether the seed is mature, you just have to press. When you see seeds coming out, like I demonstrate here, this means that this plant is already ready for harvesting. For varieties, leaves still very green and nothing is coming out of the plant. That means that it still needs something like a week for it to be ready for harvesting.
Planting drought-resistant crops isn't enough. You need to have a good marketing plan too. Now, Jane, I can see Lydia's chilies are very, very good, looking very healthy. But Lydia, you have a problem. What is it?
From here to the market, it's 200 bob, and when I get there, they said that they are buying at a raw price at a 20 per kilo, and I have already used 200 shillings.
So you're spending a lot of money taking your chilies, which you have a lot, to the market, but when you get there, they're offering very low prices. And what should she do, Jane?
Most farmers have the same problem like Lydia's. They don't plan where they are going to sell their produce, going to market it. So it's lack of planning. So before you produce, you have to know where is your market. How are you going to market it? The solution, Lydia, you can dry your chilies, plus your other vegetables, like sukuma wiki, cabbages, terere, all those types of vegetables. You can dry them using solar energy.
Now, what is this?
This is a solar dryer. This is what I told you about. Lydia, I told you about drying your chilies with the solar. This is what we had prepared. This is a tray for drying. And we have a chamber there that that's heated by the solar energy. And the heat gets in here in this chamber and then dries the chilies. So within 3 days, these chilies will be dry enough to be preserved for a long time. Yes, at your own time. When the prices are very good,
that is good.
so that you can make a profit out of your chilies.
We went back to Lydia to see if the chili dryer was helping her to get better markets for her crops. Lydia, how are you? It's good to be back here again. So Lydia, tell me, how has your life changed since you were last here?
I have so many customers these days.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're doing very, very well.
And
And what other achievements have you had in your life?
since I have started drying these chilies, I have so many hotels. They want my chili, and I used to supply them a weekly.
So you're supplying hotels with your chilies?
My life has changed already because I have a lot of money, and I managed to take my child to a boarding school. You taught me how to dry my chilies, and now I'm making money through them.
We know that when the weather changes, land, both for farming and grazing for animals, is affected. Shamba Shape-Up advised farmers to move to zero grazing, which means keeping your animals in a shed and bringing the food to them instead of taking them out for grazing. This approach helps conserve the land for planting, while ensuring that your livestock grow well and produce good meat and milk. Zero grazing involves building a good shed for your animals and growing fodder plants for the animals. You get better production if your animals don't walk around to graze all day. A good livestock shed has a sloped roof to assist in water gathering, 3 separate troughs for fodder and water, and supplements, an open central area, the sloped floor.
I think you all have the idea now. And sorry to cut that off. If you're interested in that one, you'll have to go and find it on the web, okay? You can continue watching it at the comfort of your own home. So I'd like to open it up for questions now. And Josephine, would you mind sort of moving around and taking questions? I want to make sure I'm noting down what the questions and maybe help David with some of the responses are.
Okay, so in front of your tables is a mic that you can use for the ones that are on the periphery. I'll bring the mic to you. So, any questions?
Can everyone hear me? Susan. I don't need the mic. David, thank you for this presentation, and I love that you started talking about mobile phone applications.
Yeah, I think it's... sorry, just...
You talked about phone applications like M-Farm and Ahsoka towards the end of your presentation.
Susan, can I just interrupt you? Maybe introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. I'm Susan at Michigan State University. And so my question, you started talking about Ahsoka and M-Farm towards the end of your presentation, and I'm curious why those haven't already been integrated into the show. And are those being used, is the mobile phone being used to collect information are farmers using it for information purposes?
Yes, is my microphone on? Yeah. We do show the various ways that you can use ICTs, different kinds. So we're showing how you use your mobile phone to access information. And then we put a little thing up at the bottom, you know. So for example, one of the ones we've done, CCAFS, has a seed variety for maize. So you dial a number, a short number, and we see that comes up on the thing. Then you put your division, where you live, and you put the crop. And then you get mobile back almost straight away. You get 3 or 4 varieties of maize. Unfortunately, these varieties of maize have been available for the last 20 years. But that you do get the numbers. In fact, one more recent. So we're doing, use your mobile phone to do this. We do it a lot in all of the programs, using your mobile phone. And we also, because we're a partner with Google, we also say, look, if something happens, and you don't know what the answer is, Google it, and this is how you do it. We've been doing that for about 3 or 4 years now in all our programming. So we've been promoting the use of the mobile phone. Yeah. And the reason we have those guys with us is because people are accessing them for information, and at the end they can see a video clip. Because if it's in Swahili, you don't have to be literate. You can watch the video clip, or you could show it to your husband or your wife, depending on, or someone else who is not literate. Not that I think that's a huge audience, but they're there.
Okay, thank you. Roland?
Thank you very much. I have a question. There's been in Kenya and Uganda, like there's sometimes been these crazes about, we could call them miracle crops, yeah? That people expect that trees can grow in 5 years' time and then be a pole size. So we had a number of stories that were out in the media that were not realistic. So in your methodology, how do you deal with crazes like that? Are there some moderators that say, well,
yes,
things may not be realistic?
Yeah. We seldom tell people what we bring the experts. So we will bring an expert. So it's very important that you become a partner with us to be sure that we get it correct. It really is an important, it's a very good relationship, because that's what we do. We bring the experts, the research people, to the Shamba and explain to a farmer. Or we take the farmer to a research organization and see their demonstration plots. Or we take a farmer to another farmer who's already part of a marketing group or has adopted some new practice. And so that farmer then, so we're not there telling people the technical content and the information. It's the experts, yeah.
Regarding the data you showed us at the beginning, the statistics, common knowledge is that women farmers do not get as much access to agricultural extension information as men farmers. Through your Shamba Shape-Up and the other methodologies you mentioned, M-Farm and whatever, do your data show any difference now so that more women actually do get access? So, do you have any?
That's a really good question. I was telling you earlier about the Facebook and how we're getting these people from Malaysia. It's also got men and women in there, and there are far less women accessing us on the internet on Facebook, that is clear. However, on Mokotano Junction, we have more women than men viewing, and it's pretty even on Shamba Shape-Up, because the family sits down to watch TV. That's the issue. I mean, I think it's even, that's what I would say. For television, it's not bad. But I know for internet, it is not so good. And I know for the extension worker, for example, it's not so good. Getting stuff from the agro dealer, it's more men than, but we are trying very hard. We have a real sort of, we look for women, farmers, as you saw, and we try to can earn more money and more, so we're trying to draw women into the program. We are very aware of that. I think it's pretty even, isn't it, Anne-Marie? I think it's sort of like 49-51 or something. It's not bad. But on Mokotano Junction, we've got sort of 56 or 58% women compared to men. Yeah.
Maybe, David, if you would, please just remind people what Mokotano Junction is about.
It's the drama series, the soap, the really big one, the one that reaches a much bigger audience. But it's much more about social and home issues. Especially women's issues, actually. So that draws a lot of people to it.
Okay. I'll come here and then I'll come over to you.
Thank you. My name is Joan Kariuki from ACT. Earlier in your presentation, you indicated that majority of those who are viewing are the rural poor. And with this, it could just be a source of entertainment for rural poor unless they have resources to convert this knowledge into something that will bring income to them. What are you doing with that information to link the information that you have that majority of the viewers are poor but accessing information that might help them, but there's need for another intervention to enable convert that information into something beneficial to them?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, because you see, I think the reason why television is a powerful tool is the group that it's reaching are the ones in the cash economy, the ones who are there, and the ones in and out. Now, the ones in the cash economy, they can actually begin to take risks. They've got the cash. They this new way of doing something, or and seeing if they can. So it's really important, this. We're not reaching them, we're reaching the people in the cash economy and in and out of the cash economy, but they have cash at different times. So that's one thing. They're not completely poor, so they can go to the agro dealer. The other thing is we've got commercial sponsors. We've got Coopers, we've got for the livestock products, we've got Unga for the feeds, we've got Kenchik for the chickens. I don't think we can go to Syngenta for the products. We show the products and we explain what they are, and we try and explain the advantages of using that product. And sometimes we do that by doing a calculation. Sometimes, like if you're going to use fertilizer, if you're getting 10 bags of fertilizer off your 1 acre, you use fertilizer the way we've described, you will now get 20 bags, and it will cost you 4 of those bags to have done that. So you increase. So we do it really simply in some areas, but in other areas we do the calculation. If you buy this, whatever it costs you, and you spray your tomatoes at this time, when the crop, and when it looks like this, you've got a very good chance you're going to earn a lot more money. So I think there's that is there. Then there's, what can we do? The other thing is, if you research the poorest people in the rural areas and you ask them what are their sources of information, they do not say the media, they say my neighbors, my friends. Now, if those neighbors and friends are the ones who are making the changes, we have a better chance of reaching those people, the really poor. Does that answer the question a bit? But we have really been thinking about this. I think it's important to try and reach people who can make the changes. It's, the thing about reaching the poorest of the poor is that actually they are so, it's so difficult for them to take risks and make changes. If it doesn't work, they're in real trouble. They're going to have to go back home, or they're going to, they're going to starve, perhaps, or become dependent, or, have to move somewhere else or something. So they don't take risks. We know that. It's the people in the cash economy and in and out of the cash economy who can actually adopt new practices and take the risks.
Hi, my name is Ajay. I work for IFDC. My question is about your SMS question answer stuff. No, you can't see me, I'm sure.
Where are you?
No, about the SMS question answer stuff.
Yes.
Now, they send you an SMS, you send them a short message, maybe 300, 350 characters, whatever, with a link. Now, is my understanding correct?
You've got two things put into one, and it's a really good idea. We should do that. If someone asks the question, we're putting it into this place where you at IFDC can access and answer the question directly, and you've got a space there where you type into, and then it automatically gets sent out. That's what happens with a requested question. For people like Kalimo and other people, other sites, to click and see the video. But there's no reason why we couldn't reply to people, as you've suggested there, and say, look at this link. But we don't know on a smartphone.
Yeah, okay, that's...
Yeah, but I mean, it would be quite interesting. So having this partner, so far everybody we've approached on the iPhone, link it thing, they've all instantly said, yes, we want to be partners. And we think that's a good idea. And if we came to you, the different departments and said, would you like to be a partner? I would strongly suggest you. And so when people come to our website, to the platform, they're more likely to come to our platform than to you, looking for information, I would suggest. I might be wrong. I don't think so. Am I? I don't know. So if they come to us, we'll tell them to go, we can tell them that there's also a video on this over at wherever it is. AFRT, no.
Okay, thanks. You showed this slide. I'm over here. Hello. You showed this slide that showed that the state extension service was basically nowhere in terms of providing information, and I wondered how you saw the relationship with this technology and that service. Do you see it as basically providing an alternative or a substitute, or do you think there is a way that this could be used to help and empower that service? How do you see that relationship?
Yeah, that's a real cracker of a question, I have to say. We have begun a conversation, and it's going quite well, with ASCU, the Agricultural Sector Coordination Unit, and they're looking at that, how we link up and with that, and then we met with the Swedish the Swedish Embassy on Friday, and they fund the run-on from NALEP, the National Agricultural Extension Program, and it's the Agricultural Sector Development something or other now, and they to support us to link with the extension service, because it's a support to the extension service that they are already funding. And the ways we've been talking about it are varied. One of them is to use extension workers in the field to have been doing that, where we can find an extension worker who's good at communication and it comes over, well. We've been doing that. In fact, the woman with the chilies is actually an extension worker. I don't know how she's managed to get her private consultancy address up there as well. But anyway, and we have been using extension staff. That's one thing we have been doing. But the last thing we really want to do is, if you want any further information, contact your extension worker. That has been going on for years, doesn't work. We know that. And increasingly the extension service is not meeting the demands of the growing agricultural public, I would say. And I can't think of the one thing we come up with is use extension workers. I'm not quite sure really what else we could do on this, but to make people perhaps feel more secure. Worker will be able to answer these questions. If you invite him to come and demonstrate, he will be able to demonstrate. Have you got any suggestions on that? No. Has anyone else got any? Yes, Tammy.
Okay, I had a question as well, but I think the things that we're looking at with our Plant-Wise initiative is looking at how we can start to stimulate linkages between the different extension service providers. So it might be worth having another conversation about that.
Okay, yeah,
in another way. But there's plant doctors who go out into the extension staff. Have plant doctors that go out into marketplaces and are seeing farmers. So the idea is establishing that as a regular service, and I think Extension are buying into that. Obviously, what you're saying is, and we know that Extension service have a limited reach and a limited number of people, but these kind of initiatives are a way to then build on what's happening, people can do, and then sort of getting some of those
absolutely excellent,
those kind of things.
Yeah.
I also had just one question, which was about the how you manage the SMS and the postage. Because it's quite interesting, this idea of creating these user groups, and you have this SMS linkage with people, but how are you managing that? It's obviously sending automated posting of leaflets must be rather complicated, so I'm just wondering.
Well, it's actually quite automated. We as people come in, their address, as people write their address, that automatically goes into a certain part of the system, and then that's printed out on little things, and we just stick them on. I mean, it's not that sophisticated. So we stick a little, it prints out all the addresses of all the people who've inquired. It describes the subject. It's got the message that it's coming from. Addresses give us the place.
Okay.
I mean, that's how we manage that bit of it. Yeah, it's quite easy. The actual sending back of messages is automatic. In theory, until about 2 weeks ago, our number was 5606. So they've now decided we've got to have a 5-figure number from a 4-figure number. And in the process, they cut our free return email. So we got a credit for everyone who sent a message to us. So we weren't charging anybody anything to send a message to us. It was 5 bob, it was the minimum, whatever it is, to send a message. In that was a free return message. So we could do this research stuff, we could send messages back to people. They cut it out 2 weeks ago. We're having an argument with them at the moment, but I'm afraid we won't win.
You mean Safaricom or?
Yeah, Safaricom and Airtel. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Does that help? Does that help you?
It was a follow-on question because it was obviously there's costs involved, so it's interesting. Yeah.
It's 10 bob to send the leaflet, and it's probably about, I can't remember, about 18 bob to make it, to print it. So we're up to what, 30 bob? But we like to send it to someone who's asking for it. It's really worth it, you know. I mean, printing hundreds and thousands of these things and distributing them out and not knowing who's getting them and where they're going to, I think in Kenya today, and even for environmental factors, is just daft.
But 5,000 already you sent out?
No, we've sent out 50,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We sent 3 to go, it varies on the subject. It's quite interesting. So we now know which subject's more important than the other subject. Yeah.
Okay, so we're running short of time. I'm going to take the last, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after the event, we've got a cocktail. So if you need to talk to David some more, please interact with him.
Just wondering if you've been able to use radio, especially the monocular stations, to be able to reach especially the rural communities, because I think they really do have a wide listenership.
Yes. What we've done, and it's very interesting, we've taken the soundtrack off the Swahili version of the Shamba Shape-Up program. And by putting another, so we've got 2 presenters, you know, there's Tony and Njuguna, who you may know, and Naomi Kamau. Does anyone know Naomi Kamau? Yeah, I think pretty well every Kenyan. They're 2 of Kenyans, you know, best known actor and actress. But they're also very, very good at doing this. They also speak English and Swahili. So we've got them talking during the program, and the experts talking. And we put another voice which describes what you're seeing if you're watching the television program. So if there's a fertilizer, if you're going to apply fertilizer in the television, sprinkle the fertilizer carefully around the plant. Well, you can't see the distance when you're listening to that on radio. So we say, sprinkle the fertilizer about a hand's width away from the plant. And it works incredibly well. We've piloted it, we've tested it. So we're going to run the Swahili radio program. But we don't know, it's an idea we've come up with and we tried. The Syngenta Foundation are interested in funding it. And there's a thing, what's the new DFID markets group? Trademark are interested in partnering it. But we haven't finally secured, and we haven't got a whole year's worth of program. So what we were thinking to do is, we've got 39 episodes, we need another 13, and then we'd have a whole year worth of episodes, once a week. We'd try to go on Citizen, and 4 or 5 radio stations. Yeah. But I think it's there. But if you've got a TV, you're not listening to the radio. Yeah.
Okay, Bruce?
Bruce Campbell from CCAFS. It was really inspiring. I shouldn't ask it in front of scientists, but how do you extract useful information out of scientists? Do they give you useful information, or is it like pulling it out? And then the other question is so often many of our technologies or practices are maybe somewhat experimental, and how do you deal with that? You know, they could be unsafe to be distributing.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 really interesting things. just getting the research organizations involved in Shamba Shape-Up has been incredibly difficult. The enlightened ones, such as CABI and ISIPI, have come on board, and we've done really good stuff with them, and we're really pleased about that. But I mean, somewhere, I'm not quite sure where it is, and this is where I'm going to tell my joke, Patty. So are you ready? Hundreds of organizations in Kenya that we've been going to, the AATF, the ARTF, the SCF, there are hundreds of them. And in fact, we're thinking of starting up an organization called the Food and Agricultural Research Technology Group, FART Group. Because honestly, if the number of anagrams and they're just endless numbers of organizations that we've been to, and all of them have, in a way, similar to what's happening here at ICRAF down there, where I think there's a photograph up on the wall at the main entrance. It's the farmers who will make the change in climate change. Something like that. Is that the expression? But we've got to talk to farmers. So the first, getting the research organizations to think seriously about talking to farmers. And some do, and some do a bit, and some don't. And that's where, we've got to start talking to farmers. We have to. We're going to get no progress unless we do. Then the content, yes, can be, and when we get people talking, when we go in the field, it's sometimes very difficult to get a research scientist explaining, the subject. And sometimes we have to do 7 or 8 takes. And we're sort of, at the beginning, we're encouraging, saying, could you say that? No. Well, would you mind? And India said, for God's sake, just say, fertilizer. So they said, on the ground, in the field. But not from the research organizations themselves. I think that, certainly knowledge management within research over the years that I've been here has definitely improved. And the style magazines that the research organizations produce, telling how John can now take his child to school because he undertook certain, change in his behavior, resulting in increased income. And there is this effort to simplify information. Maybe the purpose of the House and Garden magazine, the brochure, is for the donors. So a lot of effort is actually going into getting that stuff right. But in that, there's lots of information and people, I think, in organisations are getting a lot better at pulling out the key issues. And then on the experimental stuff, we have to ask the organisations. But there's no harm, again, in taking a farmer to a research plot and showing him what's going on, what might happen in the future. There's no harm in that. I see that, and I think it's important.
Okay. Yeah.
My name is Clement Jeroge from Panos. Thank you. Very presentation. I recognize the power of radio and electronic to pass information, such development related information. My curiosity, and I would want to hear what you think about the use. For instance, in Kenya, the print media is very and it is expanding with the coming in of other gossip, so to say. Publication actually run by mainstream media. What are your thoughts about the use of print media to pass this same information? A segment of it may not necessarily either have access or get interested to watch and radio. Thank you.
Okay, I'm fairly skeptical about print generally. When I first came here 32 years ago, the first thing we did was print the Agricultural Technical Handbook and the Livestock Technical Handbook. and that was to stabilize information, and that was given to all extension workers. And that kind of stuff is still going on. I think that's really useful. Reference print is useful because you can hang on to it, you can refer to it, and you can get content and information. But it's expensive. It's really expensive. You have to print it. First of all, that's expensive. Then you've got to get it to the person, and then quite often it doesn't quite get there. It ends up under the district agricultural officer's desk or in a cupboard somewhere, and then gradually it does get distributed. But who did it get distributed to? And did they really want it and need it? I think literacy levels I've done a number of experiments at agricultural shows where we put one leaflet down which was in English, Swahili, Luo, Kikuyu, different things, and always the English ones went. And then, and it was usually twice as many as the Swahili. And actually in vernaculars, there's virtually no use whatsoever of printed material. And, I've been looking at it, we've looked at it, that we do print stuff, but we like this. If you want the information, tell us. We'll send it to you. You've got it. Quite interestingly, by the way, this thing goes out. We get 9,000 requests. About 4 or 5 days later, we get about another 1,000 requests. The guy showed it to his next door neighbor, and he's looked at it, and we've got our address where you can SMS and ask for it again. And they ask for it again, and there's a sort of die-out like this, and you can sort of see your leaflet traveling through the community. Or people see it and says, oh, I like that, and then the address they can SMS for it. Newspapers, I don't think, really reach people in the rural areas. They can't. 240,000 copies of the leading newspaper printed. I think the Standard's half that. It can't really have the reach as we would imagine. I know on the weekday it's very good because it starts with the head of the department and gradually comes down. And everybody's read it. So maybe 10 people read it. But then there are many people who buy the newspaper and it stays at home and it's just 2 people. So, print only if you really want it, yeah.
Mogo from Arlene. Thank you, David, for that presentation. I think the audience's size is just amazing. It's very huge numbers you're reaching. So I wanted to know, what does it take to become is it the Africa Knowledge Zone?
In the Africa, well, what would be best is to become a partner in Shamba Shape-Up. But to be a partner in the Africa Knowledge Zone, I think we just need to exchange our cards and we'll get in touch with you. And then we need to sit down and see what you've got, what we've got, and see where it connects, so that if someone is searching for, whatever it might be, clean milk production, or, forestry, or whatever it is, then you've got your stuff and we've got our stuff. And they can interlink, and on your website you can say also go and see some information here, and on our website go and see more information about these subjects, and you need to pick those subjects that you would really like to have featured on the partnership. Yeah, but I would suggest also looking at coming on to Shamba Shape-Up. We're looking for partners in the next series.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for very useful and relevant questions. I'd like to just make a point that this has been recorded, and I will be sending you all a link to the recording. And now I'll hand it back to Patty.
Yeah, so please share the link and the information from today with other people that might be interested. And I'd just like to say that many of the centers are really enthusiastically embracing this now. ICRASAT, CIMMET, ILRI, ICRAF, Bioversity. So, one of the neat things about the new consortium research programs like CCAFS is we tap into 15 different agricultural research centers, and I can't even imagine tens of thousands of partners, because we're all working in partnerships, real extensive partnerships now. bringing our partners to this too. So I think over the next few years, and we see this as an investment over time, that we're going to be bringing much more information in. We're already talking to people in our other regions and linking and seeing this happening in West Africa and South Asia, for example. So I think this is going to grow and build, and so we welcome your feedback and ideas, because it's primarily an ideas thing, to bring in your ideas of how and what information that we can be usefully sharing through these new media and ICT approaches. So thank you for the support of the people here that have already been very supportive of it, and we look forward to more feedback and ideas coming out through this kind of a group. So thank you for taking the time to join us. I hope you enjoyed it, and please, I'm not even sure where we are going right after this. I was thinking it would be back here. Okay, please join us for a drink and some more interactions and get to know each other a bit. Okay? Thanks a lot.